everybody, Jack Barrows here. Most of you know me as Jackie B. After 40 years as a club and mobile DJ, I'm taking the mic in a new way. Welcome to Voices on Main Street, the podcast where local businesses get a real voice. Every episode, we shine a spotlight on their stories, their expertise, and the things that matter most to their customers. That's us. Whether you're a business owner looking to grow your influence or a neighbor who wants to know what's happening in your community, you're in the right place. Now let's dive into today's conversation and meet our guest. Welcome to Voices on Main Street, where real pros answer the exact questions you're asking about their business and their big moments. I'm Jackie B, your host, former DJ, current hype man, and today's episode is straight fire if you're planning a wedding. Today's big question is, how do I choose the right wedding entertainment in Boston? And to help us out, I'm joined by someone who knows exactly how to pack a dance floor, Mike Amato, founder of
Hey,
Entertainment Specialists. His Boston based agency connects couples with DJs, bands, photo booths, photographers, and more, all under one roof. If you're dreaming of a stress free vendor experience and a packed dance floor, this episode is for you. Mike, thanks for joining me today. How you doing, brother?
pretty good, Jack. Good to hear from you. You look great, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Let's jump right in. A lot of couples are wondering just how do they decide between hiring a DJ or a live band for their wedding?
The question was, how do they decide?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, a lot of that decision is going to be based on cost. Having a 7 or 8 piece band is probably the equivalent of having 8 DJs financially. So you have to take that into consideration. But the other part is the square footage of space that you have in your function room. So, like, if you have 150 people in a space that can accommodate 175, you pretty much at capacity, and a band is going to take up a much larger footprint than a DJ would. So those are other considerations that don't necessarily have to do with finances, but other logistics that you have to look at. So you have to look at, number one is how much space that you have, how much real estate square footage you have in the room that you're having your event on. Number two, you have to look at the budget and how much money you have to spend. And number three, you want to look at the music that you want played at the wedding. So keeping in mind that some of these couples, as we get older, are looking younger and younger, and they are younger and younger, and the music that they like cannot often be covered by a band. So meaning, like, a lot of the younger kids in their early 20s that are getting married grew up in an era where the concerts that they go to are actually DJs spinning, which I still have never been to one, but I see them on videos, and they're actually big concerts, bigger than like you would see the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, or any major band do. And that's the era that they grew up in, so they want the DJ. But the parents who are paying for the wedding grew up in an era of live music and orchestras. So there's always that debate. We want a band, we want a DJ, and there's halfway points too. So, like, what's trending now is band DJ combos. So you have a DJ spinning, but then you have a sax player playing sax next to them, or you have an electric violinist, or you have a percussionist playing live music with the DJ. So we call them hybrid DJs or hybrid bands, where they're part band, part DJ. But the significance is that you get all that cool music that the couples like, the techno stuff that the bands really can't do, with the energy of having live musicians. So the sax player can go out to the audience and play sax, and all the people gather around them. And that's kind of the cool photos in the wedding albums. But talking about finances, most of the bands today are that are the top tier bands are at a minimum of $10,000 and can be up to 16,000. So the average is about $12,000 for a band. Now, going back to the 80s and 90s, when you and I first started doing this, the bands were 5,000 to 7,500 for the better bands, and $7,500 you'd choke on that. Like, $7,500 for a band? What? You out of your mind? But nowadays, it's like $12,000 is the average price for a band, and people are paying it. And the bands still take breaks where they play a playlist, which I find funny, but that's how it is. Sometimes, if you have the means, you have both a band and a DJ. So you hire a DJ, and some bands even offer a DJ to play in between their sets, so it keeps the energy going. But that's the long answer.
Oh, definitely a long answer. You did bring up a good point though. Budget is always a big one. So you touched on bands. So how much does it typically cost to hire a DJ in Boston?
So a DJ, the average price, so we represent about 20 DJs. Some of the DJs will get the lower, and I when I say lower price, it doesn't mean that they're lower tier. It's just whatever the situation is. Like, for example, we have a DJ, he's a young guy, he's 23 years old. His name is Pablo, and he's like one of the more popular DJs. His price fee is $1,500. Some people will hire him over a DJ that's 2 or 3 thousand, not because of the price, but because they like him because he's bilingual and he's younger, he's attractive. But the reason his price is low is because he's a full-time person with us. He works full-time at the office and he's on salary. So he can afford that. We have another DJ, Steve, who's also a gym teacher, a phys ed teacher, and he has a full-time job with benefits. So his price is below $2,000 as well. And then there's some DJs that strictly do this as a living that are higher price. So I never tell the clients to pick the DJ based on price. I show them the videos and the biographies of the DJs and let them choose who might be best and then talk about pricing, because sometimes the mind will say, oh, well, I want the most expensive one because he's got to be the best, which isn't the case. Even with the bands, I have bands that are honestly in the $8,000 to $9,000 price range that are better than the bands that are the $13,000 to $14,000 bands. A lot of that is marketing, and social media presence in today's era plays a big role in that. So it doesn't necessarily mean the DJs that are more expensive are better. But to answer the question, the price range is anywhere from, I'd say, for weddings, for a 4 hour wedding reception, $1,250 to up to $5,000. And some of the DJs that are getting in the higher price range include additional services like ceremony included, lighting with a lighting tech, things like that. So it varies, but it all depends on how much you like that DJ.
Great, great. Let me ask you this then. Also, what's the benefit of working with, say, a full service entertainment agency like yours versus hiring vendors individually?
So it's funny, I just had that question asked to me by a client who was looking at some of the bands that we represent. Now, with the bands that we represent, some of the bands that we represent are exclusively represented by us, which means that we handle 100% of all their contracts, whether you find them in a nightclub or um, you found them through browsing our website. And some of the bands that we book for weddings are not exclusive with us, so like if you find them at a club, you can book them directly. The difference is that being a licensed and bonded theatrical booking agency, which is what we are, we by law have to hold those collected monies into an escrow account. So if that band or if that DJ comes into any challenges, whether it might be health issues, it could be sometimes the lead singer of a band, maybe a married woman, and the timing just happened to be that now she's expected to have a baby around the time of the wedding, so she's on maternity leave or cannot perform because she's might be about to have the baby. All of these factors play out because if the person that they fell in love with as in the band singer is no longer able to perform, we have to show them who the replacement is. And if they don't like that replacement, then they have the right to get their money back or put it towards another band that they like. Or if the band breaks up, the client is not forced to chase around 7 different members for their money because that money is distributed with the bands. With us, if the band breaks up, then the client has peace of mind knowing that they can either get their money back or they can look at some other options and put the deposits collected towards the other band. So those are the benefits. You also have an agency, the agent rep, the event producer, we call them, that's working with the client right up to the day of the event. Because most clients that book weddings are not in the industry. They might be like in nursing, they might be lawyers or whatever, but they don't know how to plan an event. So by having us by their side, we are able to provide them with the necessary tools to make the event successful.
Great. Now, in addition to the wedding entertainment, you also offer like a full service bridal agency. I'm not sure what you would call it, but like you can book other stuff with you, right?
Absolutely. We are a full service production company, event production company, whether it's weddings, corporate, whatever it might be. We do everything. We have a full service lighting department. First of all, musicians wise, entertainment wise, we have over 20 DJs on our roster, over 20 bands that are 7, 8, 9, 10 piece bands. But we also represent about 40 different musicians, from violinists to horn players to piano players and singers, hotel lounges, all ethnic musicians like Chinese drummers, African drummers, Turkish musicians, klezmer, Jewish bands. You name the ethnicity, we have it on our roster. That's music wise. And then non music wise, we do a complete lighting department. We can do anything lighting from basic uplights to centerpiece pin spotting, where we rig the pin spots on the ceiling and aim them down on the centerpiece to make the centerpieces pop when you walk into the room. We can do the monogram lighting on the dance floor. We can also do wall patterns of lights. Lighting is a big part of decor for both corporate and social. We have a huge audiovisual department, which means that we can provide projectors and screens, the clip on microphones for speaking panels, anything audio related, we do, anything lighting related. So we're full audio visual company. We also won Boston Magazine's best photo booth company. And we're not even a photo booth company, but we have more equipment than most photo booth companies have. We have the beautiful flower backdrop walls with hints of pinks and blues, and we have over, I think, 8 different floral patterns that we have, which is a lot to choose from. We also have the green hedge walls, which looks like kind of the green hedge that you pose in front of. We make the custom neon signs, so if it's a couple getting married and the last name's going to be the Smiths, then the neon sign says the Smiths in front of that flower wall, and people are doing that photo. They love that photo in front of the neon sign. You see that plastered all over social media when people go to nightclubs, when they go to Ibiza. There's always that neon sign, and that's what's trending for weddings. So we also have our own photographers and videographers. So anything that has to do with event producing or event production, we handle in house.
Excellent. Excellent. So let me ask you this. What are some mistakes that you see couples making when choosing entertainment?
The couples making mistakes, in my opinion, are the couples that think they know it all. And what I mean by that is many times couples will say, like they've been to, because the age that they're getting married is the same age that all their friends are getting married. So just like in the bar mitzvah industry, bar and bat mitzvahs, those are 13-year-old birthdays. And because they're turning 13, so on all their friends. So they go to all of their friends' bar and bat mitzvahs, and they see things that they like and that they dislike, and that's what they want to incorporate or not incorporate into their event. Same thing with weddings. At the age of like 25 through, I'd say, 30 is the age that most of the couples are getting married, which means all of their friends this same age are getting married. So they tend to go through the wedding circuit, so to speak, at the same time. And they see things that they dislike. And one of the things is all the bands are doing Earth, Wind, and Fire September. All the bands are doing Bruno Mars. All the bands do those mainstream songs that gets the dance floor packed, as a DJ. So you get that couple that wants to be different. I don't want Bruno Mars at the wedding. I don't want Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't want any Motown. I want club music. I want Avicii all night long. I want Calvin Harris all night long. All the techno club DJs, Kygo. And that's just not what works at weddings. So those are the mistakes that I see couples make is when you're getting married, you have to understand you're putting an event on not for just yourself, to entertain your family and friends. So the music has to be what they all like, not just the small minority of your friends, because you're going to alienate all the other guests that want to have a good time. That's the biggest mistake I see is when you have a strong-minded couple that doesn't want to pay attention to what their guests like. They just want to play what they like, but they're not dancing. So then it creates a bad vibe where nobody dances. And then what happens anyways is halfway through the night when they see everyone's not having a good time, people leaving, then they come up and they say, "Oh, just play what they want to hear." It's too late then. So that's the biggest mistake I see.
And that's funny that you brought back those nightmares where I had those couples that wanted something particular. I think one couple was they wanted alternative music, kind of like the Smiths, and I'm like, that's great for you and your friends, but what about the rest? Oh no, no, that's
Exactly.
all I want. That's all I want to see. I lost your
Exactly.
video there.
Oh, sorry.
Uh, okay, I know we're kind of running tight on time. Did you want to pick this up again later so you get to your next appointment, or you want to keep going?
Yeah, we can keep going.
All right, great. Because I kind of want to touch on more about you. And let me ask you, what inspired you to build entertainment specialists into this one-stop wedding agency?
So what happened was we always were a multiple service company, but typically it was mostly for music. But then when you do music, you always have to have sound. And when you do concerts, you have to have sound. So we invested into some sound and production. And then from there, you have to also do lights. You have to light the stage. And then when you do weddings, then there became a trend where all of the DJs were like, "Oh, we do uplighting too." But the difference was the DJs that do uplighting, they were just buying these cheap brand lights and just throwing them up. And to a bride that's getting married, again, 25 years old, in nursing, maybe lawyer, maybe whatever field she is, she's not in special events. So when the DJ says, "Oh, we have uplights," they're like, "Oh, I have lighting and it comes with my DJ." But then when you look at the room, it looks like poop. Like it looks like someone threw up on the walls. Like it's just lights everywhere. It looks like you're at Taj Mahal. Like it doesn't, there's no decor value. Nothing's branded. It doesn't look right. The lights don't, like you get all these hot spots on the wall. So the lights, it doesn't do its justice. So we hired lighting technicians that are real lighting technicians that know how to fuse the lighting up against the material. So if it's sheetrock, there's a different way of lighting sheetrock painted walls than there is a wood varnished wall or white fabrics that might be window treatments. So there's certain ways of doing that. And then when it comes time to centerpiece pin spotting, that's like specialty lighting too, where you use special equipment. You need to be able to focus the light. You need to be able to hang the light properly so the light fixture doesn't fall on someone's head, which could be catastrophic too. So we did that, and then that led into audio visual services where we're already doing all that equipment. So why not step it up one step further and buy high-end sophisticated mics that you actually have to scan for open frequencies? Because the biggest thing with microphones is they cut out, and what causes the cutout is frequency interference. So by having the high-end equipment, you're able to scan the area. So, like if I'm in the back bay of Boston, there could be someone that lives in one of the brownstones that turn on channel 7 that could be the same frequency as you're using for your wireless mic. And then you have like Maya Wu who's on the mic, and all of a sudden her mic cuts out. You have to leave town. So by having the sophisticated equipment, and that doesn't mean it doesn't fail, because there are times even using the sophisticated equipment that you get cut out. Like there was a time where the Boston Celtics had won the championship, and the FBI was in town surveying the area to make sure there's not another like terrorist attack. So they did a frequency block to test if there was an emergency, and everybody's microphone cut out. Like I talked to 10 different production companies, and all on that same time, that same day, the mics cut out. We were doing a high-end event at a hotel in the city, and the mics cut out. And we didn't know why they cut out, because we scanned the area for open frequencies, then to later find out they did a FCC, the FBI with the FCC did a frequency thing where they cut out cell phone, they cut out everything in case there was an emergency, so they could be the only ones that have wireless communication. And so there are things that you just can't help, but if you can reduce those things, then you're you're at a better advantage than someone who's just setting up a wireless mic with no frequency settings and scanning and checking for open frequencies. You're at a better advantage. But again,
No.
that doesn't mean, there's a venue, Granite Links in Quincy, and at Granite Links, because the property is at such a high altitude, you have the striking views of the city skyline and all that because it's at the quarries. But that's also because of the high altitude. It's where all the telecommunication companies hang their antennas. So you have all these high end, sophisticated towers of all these different discs and all this stuff. If you look at it, it looks like, wow, this could be a problem. And that's one venue that you always have to scan. And I learned that the hard way. Even though you scan before you set up, you have to constantly scan because the frequencies always change, because that is the central area where all the telecommunication companies have their antennas and satellites.
Okay, now do you still offer photography and videographers and other wedding vendors? That's kind of what
Yes.
I was.
Yeah. So we do have photographers. We have four wedding photographers and corporate photographers on our roster, and they do high-end photography. And we also have videographers that do digital video and editing and all that stuff. And those are some of the same guys that we have do our text. So like some of the corporate events that we have, we do texts where where the techs have to operate a camera. It's what we call IMAG, which means that if we're doing a larger event, we have a camera operator. So if there's like 200 or 300 people in a room, you're able to put them on the screen so the people who are in the cheap seats, so to speak, can have a good visual content, a visual view of the speaker or the presenter. So that's called IMAG. So those same guys with that same video technology are the same guys that do weddings and the same guys that do corporate events for us.
Excellent, excellent. So if I'm getting married, I could come in and you guys hook me up with everybody I need for vendors, or
Absolutely. We're one-stop shopping. So whatever you need. The only thing we aren't doing anymore is transportation. So back in the day, I dabbled in limousine service because I thought it would be cool to drive around in a limo all the time and still have a write off. But the problem, there's a lot of logistics involved in that where someone takes the car out the night before and they drink heavily and end up vomiting inside your car, and you have to clean that up the next day for a wedding. And that was a big deal. You have to have someone steadily detailing the vehicles. And then with all the rules and regulations of Logan Airport for security and terrorism patrolling and all that, it just wasn't worth it. So we no longer do that. We don't subcontract that out because it's not profitable, and for the risk and liability, it's just not worth it. So we don't do transportation. And flowers is we used to have an in-house florist, but that became too problematic because the pricing of flowers and with tariffs and importing flowers from different places, it became too competitive with pricing. So we don't do florals and we don't do transportation. I can recommend that, but it's not something that I would contract because transportation liability is pretty big, and it's not something I want to be involved with if someone were to get into an accident. That opens up a whole new can of worms.
All right. What makes entertainment specialists different from just hiring a random DJ or a band?
So, what makes entertainment specialists different than hiring a random band or DJ is that hiring a random DJ, I mean, if you have a relationship with a random DJ, then hire the random DJ because you have that relationship and you know them. And that's the case in most circumstances where people hire outside DJs. But with us, at least you're getting a company that has over 40-year experience in doing events. And out of the thousands and thousands of events that we have, the ratio of events that have been ultra successful versus not we have a great percentage of successful events. And so you're hiring experience and you're hiring a company that supports everything. We have people that actually check in with the artist to make sure they've arrived on time, to make sure that they're on their way. So it's not like if the DJ doesn't show up, like I can't tell you how many times we've dispatched and deployed backup DJs because a DJ's may have been in a car accident or had some type of health issue. And because we had that backup plan on the ready, it wasn't an issue. If we didn't, you have a couple that's getting married and there's no DJ, that's awful. So we've had DJs that have, we also had a DJ, Ron, as you know, that unfortunately suffered a stroke during an event. And because we had a backup plan, we were able to get the DJ there at the event within 30 minutes of him unfortunately having to be rushed to the hospital. We had a DJ there within 30 minutes because we were on the ready and was able to successfully complete the event, and that could have turned out badly. So the benefit of hiring us, whether it's a photographer, whether it's a band, we always have a backup plan, and that is priceless when it comes to difference between a successful event or an event that could have went badly.
That was one of the reasons that I stayed with the agency all the years that I did, was because I knew that somebody would be there. And unfortunately, it happened to me once that somebody had to cover me when I had to have eye surgery. All
Right.
right, when we get back, we're going to have our mystery wheel segment with Mike Amato. We'll be back shortly. Hey, all right, Mike, it's time for the mystery wheel. We've got a few surprise options on here. Let's give it a spin. All right, that wheel is spinning. While it spins, the options on the wheel for Mike today are a mystery gift, a local shout out, a quick tip, or a fun fact, or a wild card. And it stopped up and it landed on local shout out. So, Mike, shout out to a Boston venue or wedding vendor that you love working with.
Well, I must say, being the second day of autumn and just being fresh out of the summer, I would say the Boston Harbor Hotel, every year we host the Boston Summer in the City concerts. So I'm going to shout out to them because I miss having that everyday adrenaline flow of the summer concerts. So I'm going to shout out to my friends at the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Awesome. All right. All right. Well, that's great. That was a blast. And it was huge thanks to you, Mike, for jumping on the mystery wheel and sharing your expertise today. We really appreciate you giving our listeners an inside look at the entertainment world here in Boston. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for unforgettable wedding entertainment in Boston or want the convenience of booking DJs, bands, photo booths, and more all in one place, check out Entertainment Specialists. Visit them at entertainmentspecialists.com or find them on Instagram at Entertainment Specialists. You know what? Hey, because we're also giving our listeners some extra value, we've unlocked today's mystery gift for everyone listening. Whether or not we'll land it on it, you got a shout out. We're gonna let you claim that mystery gift. Mike, what do you got for our listeners today that heard our podcast?
So I would say with the booking of a DJ, I would throw in a $1,350 value of wireless LED uplights for their event.
Oh wow. Wait a minute. Let me hit a $1,350 uplighting package for the wedding for anyone. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Of
Are
course.
you serious? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. He said we'll hold him to it. Mike, really, thanks for having you on the show, man. It was really great for you. This has been Voices on Main Street with your host, Jackie B. And until next time, you just keep supporting local, sharing stories, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace. Huge thanks to Mike Amato and the whole crew at Entertainment Specialists. If you're tying the knot in Boston, this team brings the energy, the talent, and the backup plans you didn't even know you needed. And don't forget, today's incredible mystery gift is live. It's $1,350 worth of wireless LED uplighting included when you book your DJ through Entertainment Specialists. Just mention you heard it here on Voices on Main Street. Now, if you learned something today, if you smiled, or if you just feel more connected to the real experts shaping your community, hit that subscribe button. New episodes drop every week with real talk from local pros who've been there, done that, and are ready to help you. You got a big question want answered, or a local business you'd love to hear featured on the podcast? DM me anytime at DJ Jackie B. That's DJJACKYB on social, or message us through the site. And hey, if you're feeling generous, leave a quick review or share this with someone who loves supporting local. I'm Jackie B, still repping them DJ roots, and this is Voices on Main Street, powered by you, amplified by AI. Until next time, keep showing love to the local legends. Peace.